Now at 9, a Lamar, Missouri business owner charged with theft.
Leadership elections in Congress are coming up, even though the House is still up for grabs. I'm Mallory Rivera in Washington with the details coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jordan Albee. Wasn't too long ago, right? We were talking about drought, begging for rain, seemingly. Now tonight, snow. Meteorologist Doug Haley joining us now.
Yeah, we've had a few decent systems that have rolled through since about a week prior to Halloween, so the last 2.5, 3 weeks. It's been a lot better, but you can still see snow falling. We're looking at 7th and Rangeline. Roads are mainly just wet, but with temperatures hovering near freezing, you may watch some of the bridges and the overpasses for a little bit of icing as we go through the overnight hours. 42 was our daytime high for us today. Look at our temps hovering at or just above freezing, and we still have bands of light snow. We went from rain over to snow. We've had some pockets of moderate snow. We've had some accumulations, not much, like a quarter, half an inch in most spots. But there have been a few areas in our western counties near an inch. Also down toward Berry County, we're close to an inch of snow. So there are some little tiny slick spots out there, so be careful. Of course, this is going to stick around the next few hours. We'll talk more about that here in just a bit.
Doug, thanks as always. As we brace for the winter weather here in the 4 states, remember your furry friends are dealing with it as well. KOAM's Amber Jenkins is more on how to protect those pets.
Leaving a pet outside in the cold weather for long periods of time can harm them. While some pets such as Huskies and Maine Coons have coats built for the cold, other pets do not.
What people have to understand is that all these breeds are man-made. We develop them for a certain area of the world for a certain job. Not everybody can grow the coat that they need to stay warm in our weather. So that is an important factor. The fact that they have a coat means nothing.
When you're unsure about the weather concerning your outside pet, try this.
One way that you can know how they feel, this is what my challenge to everyone. Put on a sweatshirt, maybe a light jacket, and go out tonight and just sit with your dog for an hour. Just don't do nothing, just sit there and see how you feel. See how that makes you feel. That is exactly what they go through 24/7 all winter long, and some can actually freeze to death.
If you see a pet fighting the cold elements, call animal control or your local police department.
Our police force is a big key to this, yes, because they're the ones out there checking the houses, checking the backyards, and seeing whether or not these animals do have the protection from the weather.
Putting straw inside dog houses is an easy way to help insulate.
We'll say the city of Arma is, and I will challenge other towns and cities to do the same. We are getting our straw for the season. It's supposed to be here tomorrow, and we will be handing that out to folks that do need it. Yes, to keep their animals warmer, and they just need to stop by City Hall here, and hopefully other towns will do the same.
Reporting in Southeast Kansas, Amber Jenkins, KOAM News.
Starting tomorrow, Arma City Hall is going to pass out straw to residents for their outside pets. Authorities have charged a Lamar, Missouri business owner with the theft of thousands of dollars worth of payments and goods. Prosecutors charging 54-year-old Dennis Masters with 4 counts of felony stealing in separate cases. Master owns the Rustic Barn Flea Market in Lamar. Missouri deer hunters fared a bit better in the opening weekend of firearms deer season this year compared to last. Preliminary data from the Missouri Department of Conservation shows hunters killed more than 93,000 deer over the weekend. That's compared to fewer than 90,000 in the opening weekend of the 2021 firearms season. Of those taken this year, more than 55,000 were antlered bucks. That's 800 more for the same period last year. The Missouri counties with the most deer killed on opening weekend were Franklin, Texas, Callaway, in that order. It is that time of the year when we're likely to see more deer on the fields, near or on the roadways. A study by State Farm Insurance ranks both Missouri and Kansas in the top 20 states for the likelihood of animal-involved car insurance claims. KOAM's Seguba Mondelli has more.
During deer hunting season from October through December, there is a dramatic increase in the movement of the deer population that can result in more deer vehicle collisions than any other time of the year.
It seems like this year it started earlier. I think the drought probably had them moving, looking for water where normally they wouldn't be out so much, but we've seen a lot of them earlier than normal, and now, of course, the rut started and hunting season starts. When the guns go off, the deer start running.
Snodgrass says The condition after a collision varies.
Sometimes you'll see a really hard front end wreck where it's not drivable. We've towed in several of those. Sometimes you'll actually see the deer will jump out of the ditch and hit the side of the car. That's kind of unusual, but they'll spook and jump into the side of the car. Those aren't nearly as bad.
Officials tell me that people should expect to see more deers because of mating season.
And what happens is you have bucks chasing does, so you have a lot of movement, and some of that movement goes across roads, across streets, across highways, and because of that, this is the time of year when people need to be on the lookout for deer crossing roads.
Skaliski says authorities should be called immediately after a collision.
They can call their insurance company, they can call 911, whatever. So, I mean, that just depends on the severity of the collision.
Skaliski tells me how to stay safe when a deer is encountered.
You can hit your horn, you can pump your brakes. The one thing you don't want to do, and this sounds kind of counterintuitive, but one thing you don't want to do is veer to avoid the deer. Because that could possibly do, you could veer off the road into a situation for your vehicle and yourself that's worse than hitting the deer, or you could veer into oncoming traffic.
In Joplin, Shagumamdele, KOAM News.
Fast fact time. Okay, according to Missouri law, a person who has hit and killed a deer with their car may claim the deer carcass. But this can happen only if written authorization to possess the deer is granted by a Missouri Department of Conservation agent. Congress is back in session for the first time since the midterms. Republicans and Democrats gearing up to elect new leaders, but they're navigating an uncertain political landscape. Fox News correspondent Madeline Rivera explains from D.C.
Congratulations. After winning hard-fought elections, new House members are now in Washington for freshman orientation. It's the latest sign that Congress is pushing on, even as control of the House remains unclear. GOP members are already planning to hold leadership elections Tuesday as they inch closer to taking the lower chamber.
I think that everything I've been told is we'll have a majority, it'll be very narrow, and Kevin will be the Speaker.
House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy is currently running unopposed for Speaker, but he could face some challenges after a disappointing midterm showing.
All of these commitments to him were based on the fact that this was going to be a red wave, and yet we're on the other side of Tuesday, and it didn't turn out that way. And I think that's one of the reasons why Kevin McCarthy right now does not have the vote.
Senate Republicans are also struggling with a rift after Democrats clinched the upper chamber over the weekend. Some are throwing their support behind Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. And so far, no one's had the nerve to step forward and challenge Senator McConnell.
While others say holding elections before the runoff in Georgia is premature.
It would be preposterous to hold elections before we even know that we have a senator from Georgia. You know, we need to do a real assessment of what went wrong.
McCarthy will ultimately need 218 votes when the new Congress is sworn in January to become Speaker, which may be an uphill climb. Meanwhile, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi hasn't yet mentioned whether she'd run for another term as Democratic leader. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14 takes this time to honor another four-state hero. Donald Miller served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 47. Native of Carthage, Missouri, Miller received several awards. We are proud tonight to thank and salute Donald Miller. He's a four-state hero. When we come back, students and teachers coming together after another school shooting.
Police apprehend a suspect in connection with a deadly shooting on the campus of the University of Virginia. I'm David Spunt in Charlottesville. That story coming up.
The University of Virginia canceling classes today and tomorrow after a shooting on campus took the lives of 3 students. Police have a suspect in custody after a lengthy manhunt overnight. Fox News correspondent David Spunt has the latest from Charlottesville.
A suspect is in custody in connection with a deadly shooting at the University of Virginia. Officials say it happened Sunday night on a charter bus on campus as students were returning from a field trip.
This is an unimaginably sad day for our community. When I see our students, I see my own kids. And I cannot imagine anything worse for a parent than to lose a child.
The 3 victims were all players for the UVA football team, identified as Lavelle Davis, Devin Chandler, and Deshaun Perry. 2 other students were also hurt. The shooting sparked an intense manhunt overnight into Monday morning. More than 500 students were forced to shelter in place for over 12 hours while police investigated.
Everybody was calling and texting their loved ones and making sure that everybody was fine.
Unfortunately, the time that we live in, these are kind of the things that we have to prepare for.
The suspect, Christopher Darnell Jones Jr., was a former player on the football team in 2018 and is still a student at the school. He was arrested Monday morning in Henrico County, about 80 miles southeast of Charlottesville. Authorities say he had been on their radar after being involved in a hazing investigation. Jones was also known to the university's threat assessment team after making a remark about owning a gun in September. Police have not confirmed a motive, but those past incidents will certainly be part of the investigation. Jones is charged with 3 counts of second-degree murder. In Charlottesville, David Spunt, Fox News.
All right, Doug Ketty is next with a complete look at the forecast. And later, while researchers are thinking it may be a good idea to train rats for things like rescuing people.
Sorry, lady.
Well, of course, we've had rain and snow throughout the afternoon into the evening hours, and we still have light snow ongoing for us right now, and this is going to continue for the next few hours, and then we'll start to dry out just a bit. But it's wet out there, Indigo Sky Casino and Resort Indigo, just outside of Seneca, Missouri. All right, snow stats. Haven't had a lot, but about 1/4 of an inch on grassy surfaces in the Joplin metro. So for the season, 1/4. Average is 12. Haven't done my forecast yet. I'm going to do that in the next couple of weeks. Last year, we ended up with 14.25 inches of snow. But you can still see the bands of light to moderate snow, which is pushing through a little bit heavier once you get over to Springfield and then south toward Branson. We're kind of on the back side of this system now. We have some drier air, which is working in. So this will slowly cut the snow off really from south to north over the next several hours. But still, we have some pretty good bands of light snow where you see the darker blue, so Yates Center to Iola. And then we got some patches of nothing, and then it picks back up again. A little bit of light snow, Girard, Pittsburgh, Cherokee County. A little heavier once you get into Ottawa County, northern parts of Ottawa County, Miami, Commerce. And then we can track over into southwestern Missouri. Picks up again along I-49 over toward Berry County, and then right up I-49 from Carthage up toward Nevada. So we have several pockets of light snow. And again, this will continue the next few hours, but this drier air, which is shoving in, this is actually the dry slot. It kind of looks like a comma. So this will slowly lift off toward the north and to the east as we go through the next several hours. Still, we're going to have some light snow for the next couple hours, and then we'll start to dry out. We have a little back band that will only affect Kansas into southwestern Missouri north of I-44 late tonight, 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Temperatures kind of hovering right around freezing, and then all this will be out of here by the time the morning hours rotate or roll around. But you can see our chances, they will start to really drop off after midnight. We can still see some flurries spitting even into the morning hours. Temps sitting just above freezing, so that's why we haven't had really any issues on the roadways. Looking outside, 7th and Rangeline, still light snow, north winds at about 5 to 10. Humidity is at 92%. Through the night, snow, then just clouds. Overnight low right around 32 degrees. And behind this system, we're going to have the clouds sticking around through the morning hours. By the afternoon, we'll start to break out. We'll get some sunshine. We'll warm up into the lower 40s for afternoon highs. All right, 33 by 7, 37 by noon. Sunshine, high temp right around 41. 23 tomorrow night, 38 on Wednesday. Back into lower 40s Thursday. Highs only in the 30s on Friday. So a cool, chilly week, but mainly dry for the next few days.
It seemed like we went from the 90s to cold.
We pretty much did. We were in the 80s last week.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see in a little bit. Thanks so much, as always, man. All right, coming up, here for us when we need them.
For most, the sight of a rat is enough to make you scream. But in the future, giant rodents may be the ones coming to save you after a natural disaster. I'm Jackie Ibanez with that and much more straight ahead.
We're here to help.
If you're trapped under rubble from an earthquake or tornado, as many of us have been, rats is probably the last thing you'd want to see. Until now, you never know. Fox News correspondent Jackie Ibanez takes a closer look at the giant rodents training to be the rescue crews of the future.
It's a new type of rat pack you'll have to see to believe. These rats are going from pests to lifesavers as a team of Dutch researchers trains them to go where most first responders can't in the wake of major catastrophes.
Typically teams, they have manual searchers, but all of them are limited in one way or another in their ability to penetrate inside debris structures of collapsed buildings.
Using a mock disaster zone in the East African country of Tanzania, the rodents are run through a series of tests where they must locate a person. Upon doing so, the rats pull a switch attached to their neck to inform crews they've found a body, and then return to their original starting point where they receive an edible award.
The rats are just as trainable as dogs. They've got a great sense of smell.
It's a big deal for this breed of rats that researchers say can weigh an average of 3 pounds.
The species of rat that we work with are called the African giant pouched rat. Our rats can live up to 8 to 10 years in captivity, which means that even after the training, which can take 9 months to a year, they still have quite a long working career ahead of them.
Crews are now working to arm the rats with special backpacks containing a video camera, location device, and two-way audio system so victims can talk to rescue crews. The rats are expected to undergo more testing in Africa before moving to Turkey, where they will train with real search and rescue teams. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
I don't know. Up next, you'll learn just how much this old pair of Birkenstocks owned by Steve Jobs just sold for. A pair of Steve Jobs' old Birkenstocks just sold for an astonishing price. According to Julian's Auctions, the Apple co-founder's beloved brown sandals went for $218,000. Does that surprise you? Someone in here said, they expected millions of dollars. I don't know when it comes to Steve Jobs, But nonetheless, that's a record for the highest price ever paid for a pair of sandals at auction. That's according to Auction House. The Birkenstocks were a wardrobe staple for Jobs in the 70s and 80s. Listen to this. They were saved from the trash by a former house manager to Jobs. Prior to the sale, the auction house described the shoes as, quote, well used, but still intact, with the imprint of Jobs' feet. I didn't read that last part, with the imprint of Jobs' feet. I didn't read that earlier. That's amazing to have something like that, right? All right, 30 more minutes news, weather, and sports coming away. How Staff and Command School is helping the Joplin Police Department better serve the city.
On the sidelines of the G20 summit, President Biden met for hours with China's leader. But will the meeting have any impact on the tense relationship? I'm Lauren Blanchard in Washington with more on the president's trip and his high-stakes meeting coming up.
A captain from the Joplin Police Department spent some time away from the department receiving extra training to better serve the community. KOAM's Jalen Banks caught up with the person and has some more on what we should expect.
Captain William Davis of the Joplin Police Department spent the last 13 weeks at the University of Louisville Southern Police Institute, learning ways on how he can better serve the department and the city of Joplin.
In-depth leadership development program for law enforcement executives to go and learn and try to gain insight and knowledge on different policing practices that are going on.
Captain Davis says that there are 3 things he hopes to bring back to the department and city.
Overall, the different styles of leadership, kind of defining what leadership type and role that I want to play in not only the department but also throughout my life and things of that sort. The different kind of models of policing that are out there. There's historically been several different models that have worked. Some of them work great, some of them haven't worked at all. And learning from all these other agencies and the practices that they've put into play to reduce crime.
Captain Davis assures that his training will not only benefit the department, but Joplin as a whole.
Model going forward, what can we utilize, what's going to work best here in the city of Joplin, and those are the things that we're going to be looking at to see what we can do to help have a positive impact on things not only operational here in the department, but again for the people that live here, that work here, that commute through Joplin. So that's the ultimate goal that we're going to strive to achieve.
In Joplin, Jalen Banks, KOAM News.
Today, by the way, was Captain Davis's first day back in the office. Congratulations and welcome back to Joplin. People interested in becoming a pediatric dental assistant might have a new opportunity with the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas. The organization is launching a new 12-week pediatric dental assistant education course free to the students if they agree to work for the Community Health Center of Southeast Kansas after they're done. Okay, the program is in conjunction with NYU Langwon.
They assist the dentist all day. They help manage the schedule, set up operatories for the dentist, and kind of when the dentist comes in, knows what they're getting into. They also help the flow of the office to keep things running smoothly. And when you have enough assistants, you can work at capacity.
The Community Health Center's pediatric dental program encompasses clinics in both Pittsburgh and Parsons. There are some new fish at Gun Park Lake over in Fort Scott, Kansas. Kansas Department of Fish and Wildlife restocked Gun Lake with trout. The trout season kicked off on November 1st.
It's a desirable opportunity for anglers, especially in the fall and winter time. There's sometimes not things to do, and this is close to home. People can run down here on a Sunday afternoon on their Thanksgiving vacation, Christmas time, weekends, and have a great family outing catching some trout.
Anglers 16 and older are going to need an adult permit and a fishing license. Kids 15 and younger will only need a youth trout permit. Well, today is World Diabetes Day. There are two types of diabetes. Just a reminder, type 1 is an autoimmune disease. Type 2 develops over time and is often lifestyle related. Type 2, therefore, can be prevented and treated. KOAM's Yana Atala spoke to the Diabetes Education Clinic at Freeman Hospital in Joplin, and Yana has more.
Type 2 diabetes is a growing problem in southwest Missouri, with the number of cases 6% higher than the rest of the state. But with the right choices, that number can change.
Studies have shown that if we're watching our diet with moderate carbohydrates and exercising, we may reduce our risk of developing diabetes.
Susan Pittman works with individuals once they've been diagnosed with diabetes. She says a major problem is that some people think it's okay to skip meals, a common misconception.
If they eat, they will gain weight. And that's really not the case. Our bodies need that fuel, and the body does so much better when we give the fuel to it consistently through the day.
Pittman says when people don't eat, their body starts to use glucose from their liver, which leads to the liver releasing too much. But when people eat regularly and exercise, it is efficient.
When we use our muscles, they use a lot of glucose. And so the body just becomes more efficient at the regulation of blood sugar when we exercise.
Some common symptoms of diabetes are being extra thirsty, tired, needing to urinate often, or blurry vision. Diabetes is often called the silent killer because sometimes it takes years to discover you have it.
Sometimes people really don't have any of those symptoms that we're talking about, or they perceive them to be something else, like I'm feeling more tired and that's just because I'm busier.
Pittman recommends regular doctor visits, and if you are diagnosed with type 2, simple life changes can make a big difference.
Maybe someone's been drinking sweet tea or regular pop, and they find out their blood sugar is high, and they're able to eliminate those extra carbohydrates from their diet. Their blood sugar may come down to a really good level without medication.
Small changes that can be huge when it comes to prevention. Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Pittman also encourages people to access health care for screenings, especially if they have family history. She also wants people to think about making small, but big, really, healthy changes to diet and exercise a few days a week. Going to be seeing discounts on clothing this holiday season. The Wall Street Journal says retailers are already offering some lower prices after 2 years of gains. Gap, American Eagle, Outfitters, Victoria's Secret, and other stores like Under Armour all say their summer prices were down from 2021. Here's what it comes down to. Supply chain bottlenecks for apparel eased starting this spring. It was a closely watched sit-down between President Biden and Chinese President Xi Jinping, at odds on a number of issues. However, some of the biggest ones didn't even make it in the conversation. Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard has a story from D.C.
Productive, but still many more talks to go. That's how President Biden said his more than 3-hour meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping went on the sidelines of the G20.
And I'm not suggesting this is kumbaya, but I do not believe there's a need for concern of a as one of you raised the legitimate question, a new Cold War.
One of the touchiest topics was Taiwan. The president said the U.S. has not changed its stance from its one China policy. And despite the increased tension in the region, he did not believe there would be an imminent attempt by China to invade Taiwan.
Xi Jinping is sizing up Biden to see what he can get away with in Taiwan, just like Putin sized up Biden before he went into Ukraine. The stakes could not be higher. I think there's no room for mistakes.
A Chinese spokesperson after the meeting said the island is a red line for the Communist Party of China and, quote, cross-strait peace and stability and Taiwan independence are as irreconcilable as water and fire. The leaders also covered climate change, trade, human rights, and improving the relationship between the nations. One topic not on the list, apparently, the pandemic and how it began.
They've been very, very secretive about what's happened with COVID. If you want to start cooperating, at least start there.
The G20 summit officially begins Tuesday, and the world's largest economies will be focused on the war in Ukraine. Russian President Putin will not be in attendance. In Washington, Lauren Blanchard, Fox News.
Got to be later. A comfortable, painless Thanksgiving Day dinner.
Holiday foods pushing wallets and waistlines to their limits. I'm Jackie Ibanez with a look at how you can indulge without compromising your budget and health. That's all straight ahead.
Well, we've had bands of light snow showers kind of rotating through over the past several hours. We had rain, then we went over to light, some pockets of moderate snow across the area. But what has helped us out is temperatures have been hovering above freezing. So we haven't had that many issues on the roadways, but there still could be a few slick spots as our temperatures are going to sit right around freezing as we go through the overnight hours tonight. All right, where you see the darker blues, heavier snow. So heaviest snow now into southwestern Missouri. You can see it flared up just a bit right across northeastern Oklahoma, southwestern Missouri, and then starting to dry out a little bit on the Kansas and then the Oklahoma side. But we still have a little ways to go before we get all this snow out of here. Moderate snow really from Springfield to Branson, picking up Newton County down through McDonald County and parts of Delaware County, and then just kind of snow showers once you get back across southeastern Kansas. A little bit heavier Yates Center to Iola. We have had some accumulations. Most of this has been on the grassy surfaces. Most areas, quarter, half, 3/4 of an inch. Some areas may hit an inch. Of course, it's pretty much going to melt right away. Just some flurries once you get down toward Pittsburgh, also in Parsons. We can head out to Bartlesville, Nowata, starting to dry up, but a little band of snow really from Miami to Grand Lake down to Jay, over toward Pineville, Bella Vista, Jane, up to Neosho, Granby, coming down pretty good actually. And then right along I-49, Carthage up to Lamar. Still bands of snow from Nevada, and then kind of Stockton, Greenfield, Mount Vernon, and Aurora, Monette are all going to pick up snow for the next several hours. Eventually, we're going to get rid of most of this. It's a little early in the season, but you can see the drier air starting to push into the storm system, and that's going to shove this guy off toward the north and to the east pretty quickly from this point on. All right, by 11 p.m., light snow showers mainly along and north of I-44, drying out southern counties. We're still going to spit some light snow, especially in our northern counties, through a good chunk of the night, and then we'll just kind of go to flurries. But I do think most of this will be gone by the time the morning hours rotate around. You can see our chances drop, especially after midnight for us tonight. Temperatures, 33, 34 degrees. So as we drop off another degree or two, again, could have a couple slick spots. You can still see the light snow. 7th and Rangeland roads look just wet. Current temperature is sitting at 33 degrees. Into the morning, light snow, next few hours, then just clouds. Cold down to about 32 a little bit later on tonight. Good news here is, even though it's still going to be cold, once we get into the afternoon tomorrow, we get sunshine back. Temperatures are going to warm right around 40, 41 degrees. 38 on Wednesday, 43 Thursday, back down to 36 on Friday. Normal highs upper 50s, so this is pretty cold. And then we get back into the 50s early next week.
Soon we're going to get a snowfall where it'll be good to, I say sled, down the sled. What do you say here in the States?
Sled.
Okay. Doug Eddy, thanks for joining us, Doug Eddy. Canadian. Coming up in sports, Missouri Southern's Lacey Stokes earning conference honors, plus Carthage preparing for its state quarterfinal matchup against Lebanon. Danny Terzer has that and more. She won't have a sled. She's going to be by herself tonight, and she joins us next.
United.
Missouri Southern's Lacey Stokes is named the MIAA Women's Basketball Athlete of the Week. It's the 6th time the sophomore is being recognized for the honor. Stokes led the Lions to wins over Henderson State and Harding this past weekend. In those 2 games, she averaged 22 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, and 1.5 steals. Carthage football claimed the district title on Friday for the first time since 2019. The Tigers are 10-1 and enter the next round of the playoffs on an 8-game winning streak. Carthage travels to Lebanon for the state quarterfinals this Saturday. Lebanon also has just 1 loss this season, and they average 46 points per game, but the Tigers are ready for the challenge. Led by 22 seniors, they're hungry to bring another championship back home.
Ever since my sophomore year, I've been playing, and we just fell short the last 2 years. It's frustrating because we knew we could have done it because we beat Webb both of those years. It feels good to finally advance, and we're ready for it, ready for a shot.
We came into the year with 22 seniors, which we've never had before. These guys have got a lot of experience, a lot of maturity, and then they've gained both of those things throughout this season. So to get us to this point, I think that's been huge.
Pittsburgh State is headed to the Division II playoffs for the 19th time in program history and first since 2014. The 28-team bracket was revealed on Sunday. The Gorillas earned the 3 seed in Super Region 3, and they get to host a first-round game. Pitt State will face the University of Indianapolis on Saturday at 1 p.m. The Greyhounds are 9-1, while the Gorillas enter the postseason with a perfect 11-0 record.
This is what they came here for. This is what we all work for. And again, I think it's important that we don't get ahead of ourselves and we focus on us and what we have to do to get better, and that's what we've done all year long.
This has been a long time coming for us and this team. It's just all the hard work that we put together as a team, and it started with this summer. Guys putting in work consistently, day by day, and then fall camp, and then we just kind of rode with that into the season. So we're so excited.
Kansas City beat Jacksonville 27-17 on Sunday, and now they own the best record, 7-2, in the AFC. Patrick Mahomes threw 4 touchdowns against the Jags, including a pass to Kadarius Toney for his first career score. Toney joined the Chiefs late last month, and in 2 games, he has 102 yards on 8 touches.
It just felt electric in there, but the reason I was so, happy. Well, the reason I was happy was because I was too close to the sideline when I caught it, and I just was excited. I saw the sound. Oh, I got to hop. I got to get in there somehow, some way.
He's a smart kid, and he does pick it up easy, although he's willing to spend time at it too. We're trying to give him some things that he's done before, and then adding 1 or 2 things the last couple of weeks that he's not used to doing, so he can continue to grow.
We'll be right back.
Turkey Day, or Thanksgiving holiday countdown, is taken away, but the price of your holiday feast may be jeopardizing your appetite. Fox News correspondent Jackie Bonds joins us again and takes a look at the ongoing effects of bird flu on turkey prices, plus what dietitians recommended you to avoid overindulging.
With Thanksgiving right around the corner, the price of the holiday's most coveted bird remains sky high.
We've been running about 20% higher turkey prices than we experienced last year, which is higher than the overall rate of food price inflation.
Ongoing inflation is only partially to blame, with the H5N1 strain of the bird flu also responsible for the price surge. Since January, cases have been reported in at least 46 states, with more than 50 million wild and domestic birds affected. According to the USDA, more than 6 million turkeys have been killed because of the virus.
Even though turkey prices are increasing, it's still a very affordable meat option if you compare it to other main protein sources. So if you're really just trying to buy the most pounds per dollar, turkey and chicken are probably some of your most affordable options.
But while the price of holiday foods continues expanding, health officials say practicing balance and moderation can help prevent your waistline from doing the same.
The increase in calorie intake between Thanksgiving and New Year's causes an average weight gain of 1 to 2 pounds. This wouldn't be much of a problem if that weight was lost in the new year, but the average adult gains 1 to 2 pounds per year over their lifespan. That means holiday eating may account for 10 to 20 pounds of weight gain per decade.
To help you indulge without overeating, dietitians recommend choosing whole foods over processed, eating more vegetable dishes, and limiting added fats and sugars from recipes. Jackie Ibanez, Fox News.
Counting calories on Thanksgiving? Blasphemy. Coming up, a look at the movies now available to watch at home. DVD, digital, and music releases this week include an iconic villain, a wish-granting genie, a lottery-winning couple, and more. Here's Fox's Kristen Goodwin with a list of new releases.
We're looking for someone with X Factor.
Pearl tops this week's list of what's new in home entertainment. The prequel to the hit horror slasher X features Mia Goth reprising her role as the iconic villain to tell the origin story of her character.
I'm beginning to wish we'd never met.
Tilda Swinton and Idris Elba lead the time-spanning fantasy drama 3,000 Years of Longing about a literary scholar's encounter with a genie offering 3 wishes in exchange for his freedom.
We'd like to buy 8,000 windfall tickets.
Bryan Cranston and Annette Bening play a real-life couple who won millions in the Massachusetts lottery after discovering a mathematical loophole in the comedy drama Jerry and Marge Go Large.
I'd like a request for service animal for my son.
The family drama Gigi and Nate stars Charlie Rowe, Marcia Gay Harden, and Jim Belushi. Inspired by a true story, the film centers on a free-spirited teen left quadriplegic and the bond he develops with his support animal. Juliette Binoche plays a woman whose life spirals out of control when she gets caught up in a love triangle in the French romantic drama Both Sides of the Blade.
The creeper comes back every 23 years.
A local legend awakens to terrorize the attendees of a horror festival in Jeepers Creepers Reborn.
I'm the space invader.
Moonage Daydream is a non-traditional documentary on the life and musical journey of late pop icon David Bowie.
Find the halo. Win the war.
Small screen favorites available to own: Season 1 of the Paramount Plus series Halo, based on the popular video game franchise, and the 3rd season of HBO Max's superhero series Doom Patrol.
Those days come back in the dead of night.
For music fans, Canadian rock band Nickelback return with Get Rollin', their first album in 5 years.
We'd be turning up the stereo.
Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
And that's our time for tonight. Thanks so much for joining us. Going to leave you tonight with a video of the annual migration of red crabs on Australia's Christmas Island. Be safe tonight, especially with that snow. You never know. Do this all again tomorrow. See you then.